What is up, guys? This is Olympio, coming at you with an updated deck profile of my Yang Zings for January 2015. This deck is still so fun, one of my favourite decks. As I always say, any deck that revolves around synchros, I love, so I'll always give them a chance. But this deck is really underrated in my opinion. A lot of people say it's a bad deck, but you would actually be quite surprised. So let's go into the deck list. We have the 3 Jiatu. This card is just one of the newest cards for Yang Zings. Great card, but it does come with a high risk, high reward. If your opponent stops the effect, you go -2, and it's pretty painful. But if you get the effect off, you're pretty much laughing, because you can, at worst, bring out a Beals that's unaffected by traps and has 3-5 attack, 3-5 defense, and it's pretty difficult for your opponent to get around. Obviously, there are ways, but you know, there are always ways around any card. Suani is your natural buff for your synchros. Real great card in my opinion, and just a 1/9 beta is really nice. Then we have a Bixi, one of my favourite ones in the deck. Bixi gives you the restriction that gives you the advantage that you can't be affected by traps when you synchro up into something. And it's just absolutely incredible. The defense isn't too bad either, and I just love it, but the amazing ability to be unaffected by traps is just so brutal, especially when you have synergy with your own skill drain that it's unaffected. It's just too good. 2 Chiwen, reason for running it at 2 is because you don't really need 3 in my opinion in testing. It was just alright, but I kept seeing it when I didn't want to. Yes, you can use it as a name for Jiatu, but Chiwen is just a good card still, but I don't think you need to run it any more than 2. Then we have the 2 Bian. This is alright. It's a great card, the Destruction by Battle, and there's a nice little combo with these two that you synchro up into Herald of Arclight. So it's really nice, but in my opinion, you just need them at 2 because any more and it starts to get cloggy. Then we have this interesting card. The reason why I say it's interesting is because it's just slightly annoying to run at times, because if you draw it, it's basically a dead brick, and you have to hope that Jiatu comes along to discard it. Now, there are other reasons why this card is in the deck. It's an out to Winder, and it is also an out to your opponent's Snatch Steal, because the possession, when you synchro up, the possession cannot be changed to your opponent with a synchro monster that has been used with this. So it's not too bad if you know your opponent has that Snatch Steal that everyone's running. Really good card to go into. But if you draw it, you basically cry. The one Paolu is good because of Snatch Steal, because of Raigeki, but it's not enough to bump up anymore, to be honest. I know everyone's using Snatch Steal, and if you get Snatch Steal and you're unaffected by it, well, you're going to be in the same boat as many duelists this format. But Paolu is just not really that good enough to run any more than 1. Going into spells, we have the 3 Yang Zing Path. Great card. People run it at 2, and I just don't see why. If you see it kind of early game, it sucks a little bit, but it's also a name for Jiatu, and it's just a great card in my opinion. So the kind of advantage this gives you is just too good. 3 Pot of Duality. This is here because it helps with your consistency. You don't need to synchro up in your turn. If you have a Jiatu and this in your opening hand and you can get Jiatu off, you're obviously going to use Jiatu, because the chance of your opponent having like an Effect Veil or a Herald of Orange Light are probably going to be quite low, because Herald of Orange Light's only run in 1 deck basically, and well 2 maybe, and the Effect Veiler is only run maybe in a Shadows but single copies and things like that. So the Pot of Duality is there because it's good for consistency, and you can just set your monsters and make your opponent cower, because chances of them attacking into it if you know you're running Yang Zings is probably low, so you can kind of set up. 3 MST, skill drains, anything like that you just don't want to see, and vanities, just get rid of them. Skill drain, I mean, MST at 3 is a imperative card in this deck. 2 Forbidden Chalice. As I said, this deck suffers from monster effects like Castells, anything like that. It's a little bit annoying to run into them because you can't really do much about them. So the additional Chalice is good, and also the fact that you can boost up your opponent, boost up your monster is really useful. 1 Dark Hole. Dark Hole's still good in my opinion. I know that most decks kind of like Burning Abyss and Shadows all get their effects when they go to the grave, but you use it to your advantage because your monsters actually get the effects off as well, so just use it with caution. The one Snatch Steal card's amazing. No one really need to talk about this. It's just broken because you can, well, it's not broken, but it's pretty good because you can just steal your opponent's monster for for Synchro plays as well. Soul Charge, pretty good in this deck if you ask me, because you can just make an unbreakable monster in your turn and not really need to attack with it. Traps, 3 Yang Zing creation. Don't really need to say much about it. You need to run it in my opinion, and any less than 3 is a little bit suicidal. The 3 skill drain, you can run it at less if you want. You can side it. It's completely down to you, but some of the big decks, it really hurts them. Shadows kind of do get hurt quite a lot by this. Burning Abyss can run under it, but they're quite crippled. The only ones is Quillforths, and in the Quillforth matchup, you will probably be siding it out anyway, so it only hits one deck badly, in my opinion. So that's why I run it at 3, and you can always just side it out for game 2 and 3. Skill Prisoner. Now, the important thing with this card is its effect, and a lot of people kind of forget what this does. I've played it so many times on people and they're like, I've already targeted your card. And I'm like, but that's not what this card does. The first line says, you target one card you control this turn when any monster effect resolves that targeted that card at activation, negate that effect. So this is to get rid of any effect veilers. This is any castels, anything that would affect your vulnerable monsters that don't have obviously immunity to traps, to monster effects. So Skill Prisoner is a really great card in my opinion. It really helps me, and the fact you can banish it from the grave to do the same thing as long as it wasn't in the same turn that it was sent. It's just a really solid card, and it saved my arse so many times, more than I can mention. Card is just really good, and it just backs up Giatu so nicely. 2 Trapstun. Trapstun's really good. We just want to make sure our plays can go off nicely. We want to make sure they can go off safely, and that's kind of why Trapstun's in here. It's just a decent card. The 1 Torrential Tribute. This is here because it helps with us. If your opponent tries to overextend, and you have maybe a set Yang Zing or anything like that, it just helps you kind of plus off your own cards and neg your opponent. And then finally, the 1 Yang Zing Brutality. I am running this as opposed to my last build where I wasn't. I'm giving it another go. It's a name for Giatu at worst case scenario. It makes Suwani a 3/8 beta, which is nice, which can get over any of the monsters in this meta really, including the killer or towers if you want to say. So it's a really good card, and it's fine at 1. I don't really see it any more than 1 to be honest, because otherwise you're just going to start getting cloggy and relying on the card itself with your mini Yang Zings. So going on to the extra deck, we have the 2 Baxia. Baxia is a incredible card. Games that I win with this is just so brutal. I'll normally synchro up with 3, so spin 3 cards back, and if your opponent can't stop it, they're in a lot of trouble. Then we have the 2 Yazi. This card's really great. It helps bring out the level 5 Totodile because you don't want him in the deck, but he's just good there as well. He can also bring out one of the new cards that came out in the last set, Droloff Knight. I can't remember what it was called, but the one that switches all non-worm cards attack to defense and then reduces the defense. So you can bring this out if you're under a bit of the cost. You can side that one in. I do like that card in the level 4. It's normally sided. Just depends on what matchup you have, so it can do that, but also it's just Scrap Dragon. Beals, Giatu target, great card. We have the 1 Leo, don't know why they were mixed up, but anyway. So the 1 Leo, because you can make him, and making a like indestructible Leo is pretty scary. The 1 Scrap Dragon, because you can plus off its own effect. The 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend, having this card being buffed or unaffected by traps, and with its effect as well, is really nice. The 1 Black Rose Dragon, and the 1 Ancient Sacred Wyvern, they were stuck together. So that's the level 7s. Very important cards in my opinion. The 1 Goyo Guardian, this being buffed and unaffected by traps or whatever, is just really scary for your opponent. The 1 Armades, because again, it's just an absolutely incredible card, and especially when it's buffed up, it's very scary to go against. The 1 Catasta, just great card in general. And then finally 2, Herald of Arclight. So this card's really good because you can do the whole kind of recycling lock with Baxia. If you don't know what that is, you can, for example, summon this with Chaiwen and Bian. So that's unaffected by battle, so you just doesn't die, you just keep it there and you keep controlling your opponent. But with Baxia, you can, for example, summon the Baxia, pop a card, get this from the grave, and then kind of just keep doing it every single turn, because Baxia can bring it back, obviously as long as you have the targets for the Baxia. But that is it, guys. So that is the deck profile, the updated one. There probably will be an updated one again once the new set comes out, because I'll be looking at some different support cards for the deck. And when I say different support cards, I'll be looking at non-archetype support cards. Because there are some quite interesting ones out there that I do believe you can use in the deck, so it'll be very interesting to see. So that is it, guys. I hope you did enjoy the video. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below what you think of Yang Zings and what you think of the deck. So as I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.